Hello, Internet Magic Man here from MMOBomb.com, bringing you another first look video. This time it's for the newly open beta free-to-play Mythgard. Now, this is a trading card game, collectible card game that is available for free on Steam and mobile, so you can play it on iOS or on your Android. Now, it is a cross-account game, so if you make progression on one, you can play that progression on another, provided you have linked all of your accounts up. As far as a console release, Xbox One's release is in development, but it is not available yet, and PlayStation 4, according to the FAQ, is still not being developed because of the cross-save functionality, or the account save functionality. Now, with Sony moving in its direction and kind of allowing those things lately, we'll see if Mythgard ends up getting a PlayStation 4 release at some point. But we're going to spend about 15-20 minutes or so jumping in, checking out the game, seeing if it's for you. And I'll tell you this, when you're playing it on Steam, it does feel very mobile. By that, I mean all of your menus are very touchscreen developed, which isn't a bad thing. And it's not annoying or anything on the computer, but you can definitely feel this was a mobile game, first and foremost. For instance, scrolling through this menu is a click left mouse and drag across the screen. Some menus will have a little arrow on the left or right that you can click, but most of them are this, spinning wheel, drag your finger across the screen. So on a PC, you'll be clicking and dragging a lot. It being a card game, I figure we're going to start actually in the glossary. So just in case you need some information, you've got the glossary here, but I'll pull up the card layout because this is how the game works. And the game makes no apologies for borrowing from other titles. In fact, before you take the tutorial, Rhino Games, the development team behind Mythgard, does ask you in a little survey, which is kind of cute with some characters in there, like they're asking you these questions. Are you familiar with Magic? And it gives you 4 different options to rate your familiarity with Magic the Gathering. Same with Hearthstone and some other options. So it can kind of tailor a little bit of its training and its tutorial to you. I don't know how much it actually tailors. I haven't gone back under a clean install and answered the questions differently. But if you have played Magic the Gathering to any degree, whether it was competitive or just casual, same thing with Hearthstone, a lot of this is going to feel very familiar, but there are some key differences that I think personally give Mythgard a little bit of an edge over some other titles in this space. So let's take a look at the cards. Notice you'll see a color. It does point to a faction. The factions are separated by particular colors, but don't let that make you upset. Your decks can have all kinds of factions in it, so you can customize a deck the way you want to. It's all going to be about resource management when it comes to that, because you do have 2 items to take into consideration when you are paying the cost to play a card, whether it's a character, a field enchantment, anything. You have 2 factors. The first is the burn circle. That gives you the color of the gem that you will generate if you burn this card. That's the key resource generation in this game, and being a Final Fantasy TCG player very recently, this was not new to me, and I've seen it in other games, similar type mechanics prior to that, but being a big Final Fantasy TCG player myself, this is similar to that, where you actually earn your resources by sacrificing a card, in this case, burning it. Key difference, though, if you are a Final Fantasy player versus Mythgard, is Mythgard, the card is not gone or in a discard pile. When you burn a card to generate your resources, it actually goes back into your deck at a random location anywhere but the top card of your deck. And cards cannot be burned more than once. So if I burn this Minotaur, the next time I draw it, I have to play it or keep it in my hand for something. I can't burn it again. So, the number and the color gem are your mana cost and your gem cost. You have to have both. If you have one mana but no of red, or what we would probably call fire gems in most cases, but in the game here it's red. If we have one mana but no available red gems this turn, we will not be able to cast this. And I'll show you what I mean in a little more detail when we actually get into a game. Name. Then you have your flavor text box. This is also where your key abilities are going to be. You have all the usual ones, plus a slew of unique ones because of the way the board is laid out in Mythgard. Again, this will make a lot more sense when we get to a game. I just want you to understand the cards so I don't have to cover that in-game. So your hastes and all first strikes and those types of things will be in here, of course, under different names. Lower left corner is strength. How much damage will it deal in combat? Health on the right, lower right-hand corner. How much damage can it take in combat? Key difference between Mythgard and some other games that you may be familiar with. The damage does not necessarily heal at the end of the turn. So if it has 4 health and it takes 3 damage, it will sit at 1 health until you heal it, or until you give it the regen ability, or some other impacting card is played that may change the health. So you can ping damage something a turn or two to take it out, rather than have to worry about making something stronger to take it out. It's not going to heal at the end of the turn unless it has certain abilities or certain spells are cast. The upper right-hand corner is your rarity. You've got 4, common, uncommon, rare, mythic, no surprises there. Now that you have a basic idea for the cards layout themselves, let's get into some gameplay. And there's a ton of different options. Some of these won't open up until you've leveled a little bit. The story so far is only 1 chapter available, and I have completed all of these. So this is where you'll start. I kind of like the cutscene drawings in between each match. It's neat. I don't know how in-depth they're going to take this story or not. You've got a vampires versus Valkyries type storyline going on here, where we've got the seedy underworld in a more modern time zone, like a New York type city going on. So definitely very interesting. Some very good lines in there, some voices that sure to make you happy, and it'll teach you the game. And we'll get more chapters going forward. Other modes, some of these PvP constructed in the arena, you might have to get to level your profile to level 4, level 6 to unlock. Doing the story mode will probably take you maybe an hour and a half-ish. It'll get you to level 5, level 6, and you'll have all of these unlocked. So it's not a huge time investment to get all the modes unlocked. Puzzle mode, I think we'll start there. Now I've completed all of these, and you get different reward coins, and I hope they put more of these in there. I love these kinds of things where they're one-turn win scenarios, and I'm not going to spoil any of them, so I'm just going to click on the first one so we can talk about the game board a little bit. All right. So now we've got this. I'm going to go first, but forget that for a second. Let's talk about the game board. Up at the top is my opponent's side of the board. Their available mana, the color gems that they have. So they have 5 mana and 5 yellow gems available. They've got 1 creature out. It is a 4/2 creature that has Defender, which means it can't attack, and everything has to attack it before other blocking minions. And Alpha Strike, which is First Strike. Strikes and deals combat damage before minions without Alpha Strike. In the bottom half of the screen, we see my draw pile, my field, my discard pile. We've got my hand here. We've got our mana and our available gems. So this is what I'm talking about, where you can do multiple factions. You just have to resource manage a little bit. You each have a particular power. There are multiple powers available in the game. Also impacting what you can do is over here on the left, your path. There are multiple paths in the game. You can customize which power and which path you are using for your particular character, your particular deck, but you have to unlock them first. So you will have to unlock them all through gameplay. I have not. I think I have maybe 2 paths and 3 powers unlocked, something like that. But you can unlock them all through gameplay. Obviously, we see my hand, and simply mousing over it gives me a better view of the card. The scroll wheel going in will, of course, give me the increased view so that I can read it, and the tooltips on the right too. That is a lot of vampire ass in that card art. That is a lot of vampire ass. I don't know what else to say besides that. Mousing over the creatures on my side of the field, I can get that same information. And again, the scroll wheel will give me the zoomed in version if I need more details. Now, it is important to take a look here. These cards aren't just randomly placed here, kind of like Hearthstone, right? Where they just put them in a slot, and as long as you have enough slots, you know, no problem. Well, I mean, that changed a while ago. But you are limited in this game to the 7 slots you see on your side of the board. And placement is very important. For instance, if I place something, a creature, in this first slot, it doesn't matter creature-wise what my opponent has in slot 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Because this slot, if it is attacking, can only be blocked by something in the slot right in front of it or the 2 adjacent slots. And in this case, since we're on the far edge of the board, we really only have 1 adjacent slot. So if I have something in slot 1 and I attack the player, if there's nothing here, and there's no modifiers that are going to stop that attack, I will get through and damage the player regardless of what is in slot 3 through 7. To give you an example, now that you see these on the board, my 2/1 Minotaur here, if my Minotaur attacks, it can be blocked by the security phalanx here or anything that would have been in the 2 slots right next to it. Now, that is, you have to defend. But you don't really defend. I mean, if I attack, I'm going to be blocked. You don't have the option as the defending player here to say, okay, I'm going to block or I'm going to take the damage. That's not what happens in this game. You can set your board up in such a way that you can force blocks into certain characters. That's fine too, but you're not going to get the option to declare a block or not. The attacker will decide, if they have the ability to, which of the 3 characters they're going to run their character into. Now, I wouldn't have an option here with Chloe Sunshine. I would have to run it into the security phalanx. I'd have to do the same thing with the Winter Wolf. But with my 2/1 Minotaur, if there was something else here or here, I might have the option to run my characters into that to clear the way. There are certain abilities like Agile, which will give you the ability to declare which character you want to actually attack. Other than that, you will have to attack the character right in front of you. So I'll show you what I mean. In this particular example, we've got to do 11 damage in 1 turn. We've got, what, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got 11 on board. So with our 2 cards and our resources, we're not going to burn any cards. We'll talk about that in a game. Can I take out this guy? Is basically the 1-move puzzle here. Well, what do I have in my hand? Occupying minions have Agile. That means can attack any of the 3 opposing lanes, ignoring attacking and blocking restrictions. So I don't have to attack the one right in front of me if I don't want to. I can attack any of the 3 opposing lanes, which means I could also attack an empty lane and get through for damage if I had Agile. During your opponent's turn, it also has Armor 2, which reduces incoming damage taken by 2. Well, we've got to win on this turn, so that's really not going to get us too much of a benefit this time. They're not going to get a chance to strike back at us. Turn a minion into a vampire with Agile, Life Tap, and gets 1/1 after killing another minion in combat. All right. Well, maybe we could do something with the Agile there. Again, redirecting our characters, but the other stuff really doesn't get us too much because after combat, we're done. So let's see what we have on the board. No abilities, no abilities. Our Winter Wolf has Swift, which means they get an additional move action each turn, so that means I can move my wolf into a different lane, and I could move them twice, actually, because of that additional action that they get, where other cards, like the unicorn here, would only be able to move once, not twice. And we also have piercing. All right, so we could deal with damage ignoring armor. All right, so can we do 2 damage to this thing to take it out with any of these items here? Well, let's just start planning attacks. So since the wolf has... There is a defender in one of the 3 lanes. I can't do anything with the wolf besides attack my opponent's defender. My Minotaur is the same way. I have to get that defender out of the way. Chloe Sunshine, fine. And it shows you the result. I'm going to take 4 damage if I do that attack because the defender has first strike. Now watch what happens if I play this. It's going to cost me 3 mana and 2 of my blue shards for this turn. They'll regenerate after this turn. Let's go ahead and just drag this out onto the field and play it. And we're going to give it to the unicorn. Now, I don't know if this is the answer or not off the top of my head. I don't remember. But that enchantment enchanted the space that my unicorn is on. And it's important to notice that because some enchantments work directly on a creature, some work directly on the space itself, the lane, and then creatures in it get those benefits, and some of them do the same if you're debuffing up at the top. Now notice that my little unicorn here doesn't have to attack the blocker. It can attack one of the 2 empty lanes and pop the opponent for 4 damage. Also notice that there is no phasing going on. I do have the ability to play a card, attack, play another card, attack, and we could do the same thing. So let's give this enchantment, instead of a space, is used on the character itself. And now we've given it agile, which now I don't have to run it into the attacker. I could attack any of these empty spaces. So we've taken our opponent down to 2. I got a little life tap there off of the wolf. But, unfortunately, my Minotaur doesn't have agile, has to obey blocking rules, which means it would run itself in, and I have lost. I haven't done this challenge correctly. So we'll go ahead and click retry. Now that you have an idea of how cards play and how things interact, let's actually see what we can do here as far as winning this challenge. All right, so we've got to do 11 damage. I've got my power down here, which I could once per turn heal all of my minions for 1 and gain 1 life. Well, that power is not going to do too well or help me out too much in this particular puzzle. So we've got this ability to move from here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. The Winter Wolf has the ability to do a 1 additional movement. Can that help us? Well, we could give this thing agile and it can attack from here. It doesn't have to worry about it. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to give it Lamia's Kiss. We're going to run it into security here. And that didn't work because I forgot about the first strike. So let's retry that. I totally forgot that that thing had alpha strike. Derp. Derp, derp, derp. Let's give both of these to the wolf and to the space that the wolf is on. That gives me the armor 2. Now, oh wait, that only gave me armor. I just talked about that. How dumb am I? That only gives me armor 2 during my opponent's turn. I am stupid. Stupid. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to attack with the unicorn because that'll survive and actually be able to get my blocker out of there. We're going to give the wolf the kiss. And the wolf has double actions. So we're going to run that in there twice. Come on. Oh, it only gives me the movement action. Oh, my God. How did I solve this one? This was the first puzzle I did. So excuse me for having to go back and figure this one out. All right, let's retry one more time. This really should not be... I am totally blanking on how this one was solved. I will say that the first time through, none of the puzzles were particularly challenging. There were 2 or 3 that obviously I had to do a couple of times, and so you will too. particularly if you go do the puzzles like I did and before you finish Chapter 1 of the story. If you finish Chapter 1 of the story, some of the puzzle solutions you'll recognize right away. But, like, I had no idea about these powers and paths as I was doing the puzzles because I took a break from the story. And then they come into play in the puzzles, so I was, like, teaching myself on the fly. So if you want the best shot at just running the puzzles all at once, go through the Chapter 1 of the story first. It'll teach you everything you need to know, so that way you have the entire interface down pat. All right, so let's see. What the hell are we doing here? Got to get this guy out of the way. Or move some people around. I don't think movement's going to help us too much. That wouldn't help. I am totally drawing a blank here. So we can give a lot of stuff agile. We can give 2 things agile. Nothing already has agile. Oh. Duh. All right, so if I can move, we'll move 1 and attack 1. That way I don't have to block. And then give each of these 2 agile, either through the space or through an enchantment of themselves. And we totally bypass the defender entirely and do it. Yeah, I don't know why the hell that took me so long to remember how to do it. But that's the first puzzle. You, upon first completion, you will get rewards for these, usually coins. Now let's jump into an actual game. Yeah, thanks for trying to sell me stuff. Let's jump into an actual game here. I'll go into the story mode, and we'll just pick, I don't want to pick a starting one. Let's kind of go down the line. I also don't want to spoil anything story-wise, so we'll pick this one. Because the story is a bit of a tutorial, so I'll fast forward movie-wise for you. And apologies for any tutorial messages that pop up on screen. I just want to make sure that we have everything like our powers and our paths and stuff. All right. Now we're going to actually have to get into burnt cards. Notice that the board does start with 2 enchantments. So if unoccupied at the start of your turn and you do not control a dredge, return the bottom minion of your boneyard to this lane. It is now a dredge and gets ephemeral, so that could help. On the opponent side, Runes of Delphi. When occupied, friendly players draw an extra card each turn. Yeah, we need to get that the hell out of there real quick, because that is nasty. All right, so I've got to burn a card first. Since I don't have any mana and no gems, generally, you know, good starting strategy, take the most expensive card or take duplicates, the basic strategies. So in this case, I'm pretty far away from being able to play this, at least 4 turns. So we're going to go ahead and burn this by clicking, dragging it, and putting it in my burn bar. Gets rid of it. Because it was a blue card, it gave me 1 blue gem, and it gave me 1 mana. Now this blue gem will stay here. I can use it each turn. It will replenish each turn. For each card I burn, I'll gain 1 more mana and 1 more gem of a corresponding color of whatever card I burned. So if you have multiple faction decks, you're going to have to burn a blue, a red, and a yellow so that you can open up the ability to play blue, red, and yellow cards. If you look at cost in the upper left, I've got 1 mana and 1 blue gem. I do have that right now, so I can get that. I can put that out on the field, but I could not put this on the field or play this spell because although I have the blue gem, I do not have 2 mana. Things get a little more complex as the cards get more powerful. Something like the sidecar here, I would need 3 mana and 2 blue gems, neither of which requirement I can meet at this time, so not much I can do here. Now, I've started with 23 life. That's due to the path that I have on in this particular story. You cannot change the paths or the powers in the story. They are what they are, but you can change them afterwards. In this case, I'm going to play my scout. And although I don't have anything in my discard pile yet, I'm going to leave this middle spot open because as soon as I do start getting discards, I'm going to start getting ephemeral dredges. Now, ephemeral just means that when they do leave the field, they're gone. They don't go to the boneyard, or if they bounce them back to my hand, they don't actually come back to my hand. They're tokens, basically. So let's end turn there, pass it to my opponent, and see what they do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards there. I can also mouse over these figures on the side middle, the sides of the middle line to determine the path too. So you can see that highlighting the icon here above my character and highlighting that do the same thing. All right, so what did they put out? Mothmara, it's a lurker, so enemies have to attack other blocking minions before lurker. So if there was something right in front of me, I could not attack it. I would have to attack the lurker, or have to attack Mothmara because it is a lurker. I do not want to let that sit on that enchantment if I can help it, because my opponent will get to draw extra cards and will be out-resourcing me before you know it. We're going to burn another Valkyrie Enforcer, a little bit a later game card for me. Now I have 2 and 2. Colors really don't matter here. I'm playing an all-blue deck in this particular story. Adjacent minions have Rush, restores 5 health to a minion, draw a card. Occupying minion has +2/+0 and Overrun. When attacking a minion, it's Trample for you Magic fans out there. And then we've got some more healing and a Valkyrie Tough. So I don't have a lot going on. I feel like I'm going to have to... I don't want them getting out ahead of me, so I'm going to trade. I don't want them getting a card advantage on me like that. And we're going to go ahead and put out... I can't do the sidecar yet. I want to get the sidecar out because then I can put creatures next, or minions next to it, and give them haste, rush in this game. So we still got 23 to 20. Oh, there's a burnt card, goes back in the deck anywhere. It's random except the top slot. And we get a Sugar Plum Fairy. They definitely are trying to get that extra card. Lurker, Agile, and Life Tap, but it's only 2/1. Since I had a card in my break zone, I did get the Dredge effect. So we're just going to go ahead and... this does not have Rush, so notice that it's sitting flat on the board. I cannot attack with it. Floating guys, I can attack with. We are fine to launch that attack. We're going to keep them from getting that extra card per turn. I could have used this too, but I would have had to wait until next turn because I won't have 4. So let's go ahead and burn. We have 2 healing spells, so let's burn one of those. And we're going to put out the sidecar here. Notice that that gave my Dredge Rush, so now I can jump in and attack. Putting them at 20. And 19. We still have 1 blue gem left, but we're out of mana, so we'll go ahead and end turn. Pass it to my opponent, who still has card advantage on me, but we're stopping them from getting that extra card every turn still. Burn 1, play 1. There is a lot of card text there. 0/3 Lurker. Energy abilities can generate or consume energy. So, again, I kind of liken that to some of the planeswalkers, right? Do this and gain energy. Do this to use energy to do X. And so we start to see that in this game as well. Now, I do have that Thunderclap, but the Muse is 3. But it doesn't have any attack. So we're going to go ahead and just get that damn thing off the board. Too many words. And we're going to bum rush the board. And I don't have... Yep, we're going to put out my Road Queen, which is going to get Rush for being next to the sidecar, and gave all my other Valkyrie units, which you can see that in the bottom center of the card, the type of unit, gave them all +1/+1, all other ones, so we'll rush in for 13 damage. I can burn a card now. Do I want to? Yeah, let's go ahead. I'm going to burn the Demolition Speedway. I don't think we're going to need it in this game, and we'll end turn. Again, since there's no phases back and forth between my opponent and I, there really is no interaction or stack or anything like that if you're a Magic the Gathering player or a Final Fantasy TCG player. It's more reminiscent of Hearthstone, that type of game where each player takes their turn, does their thing, and then you have to react in your own turn. But it is one big main phase. There is no main phase 1, combat, main phase 2. All combat is done one minion at a time instead of declaring whole boards. So there are differences and similarities across the board. Now I am going to use Thunderclap to deal 2 damage to my opponent and all enemy minions, because that will take out this Muse, and I don't want them divining anything, while still giving me the ability to launch a full attack with all 4 of my minions. And I could have cleared this space, by the way, like this, started moving people over to clear that space so that I keep generating dredges, but I didn't need it. I was way far ahead in that particular matchup. But that gives you the entirety of gameplay. The only thing I didn't use there was my power, because I didn't need it for that particular match. Cutscenes are presented in this kind of like comic book style. Other modes, obviously, as you would expect, are your melee 2v2 constructed. Yes, there is 2v2. There is PvP constructed for rank and casual play. You have Brawl, which is a PvE constructed, play against a random AI opponent using a selected deck. You have a PvE draft. And then you have your PvP draft. So it's not just one PvE mode, and then everything else is the PvP stuff. There are pretty much 4 of each. 4 PvE modes and 4 PvP modes. You can go into the starter decks and pick starter decks to play with. Every week there are featured decks to mess around with as well. During gameplay, you will generate coins, or you can buy coins, the mithril coins, for the varying rates here, and go ahead and buy your core packs and your starter pack. If you want to pay $10, you can grab that as well. It gets you 10 core packs, 1 path or power, 3 portraits, which are cosmetic, just the little portrait down here, and 1,500 mithril at an incredible deal. We're going to go ahead and buy a core pack with our in-game currency. We're just going to go ahead and buy 1 so that you can see me open this. We'll head to our collection. We'll go to open packs. And we'll give it a little drag into the slot. Open this bad boy and get 6 cards. What do we got? Oh, that's the good one. All right, let's show these first. That's the goodie. Yeah, that's all right. I think that'll work. Stacking. Look at that. So there's another. Let's roll in and look at that. Stacks with other artifacts of the same name occupying a single slot. Well, that would be pretty nifty to just continue giving +1 to +1 stacking to minions as long as they're occupying enchantments. Yeah, that'd be pretty nice. As far as your actual deck construction, you can open packs, but you can also make cards. So playing the game, you will generate essence for leveling, different rewards every time you level, but you can also get rid of a card, unmake it. So if you get a bunch of duplicates of particular cards, you can unmake it and generate essence, and then go ahead and make copies of cards that you are looking for. So you don't have to rely on getting them from packs. All the different colors are represented here. You do see this additional thing on the bottom. Based on rarity, there's a certain number of them that you can put in a deck. So your commons have 4, your uncommons have 3, your, what is it? Rare, I think. Is that it? Rare? I forgot it off the top of my head. Let's go. Card layout. Yeah, rare. Your rares, you can have 2 of in a particular deck, and your mythics, I believe you can only have 1. And that is what is shown on these bars. It's showing you that this particular rare, I can put up to 2 in my deck, and I currently own 1. That's why this little button is filled in. Same thing over here. This is a common. You can put up to 4 in a single deck, but I only own 1. So I'd have to make some more or get some more from different packs or making them myself. I'm trying to find a mythic here to see. Can I sort by rarity? Yep, Filter Mythic. Yeah, nothing. Okay, so I don't have Mythix available yet, I guess. Is this my collection or just ultimate card list? I don't... Can I see just a full card list? I don't know. Filter owned cards. There we go. There's my Mythix. So yeah, I was right. You can only put one in each deck. And I just don't own any yet. I could create these, provided I had enough essence to go ahead and create them. I do not, being only level 5 or 6. And as you can imagine, these cards really start to modify your gameplay. You can create your own decks, obviously, off of all of the cards that you have. Finally, you've got your social tab, which is just your chat panels and your players, your friends, that type of stuff. And if you are in a guild, you can go ahead and do that there. I actually didn't know you could join guilds yet. Can you? I don't think you can yet, but I could be wrong on that one. But gang, that is Mythgard, free to play on Steam right now. If you want to check it out, let's go to like the PvP draft. What's the cost associated? Is there one? Yes. Draft a deck. I just want to make sure I get you the price if there was one. Draft a deck and play versus other players. A series of 9. Bonus draft every 2 losses. Rewards are given at the end of the run. Next wins 120 coins. Completing games reduces the time until your next free entry. Well, I have a free entry right now, so that doesn't do me any good as far as giving you the cost. But there is a cost associated, so there you go. But they do give you some freebies. If you want to check it out, head on over to Steam right now. You could also pull it up on iOS or Android devices. Xbox One players, you shouldn't be too long before you get a version that's playable there. It says they're working on it right now. PlayStation 4, we're all out in the cold, but who knows? Maybe with the Sony being a little more gentle with cross-play and cross-save, you'll see Mythgard there too. If you check this game out, let me know how you felt about it in the comments below. And until next time, gang, this is Magic Man from MMOBomb.com saying stay safe, and we'll see you out on the servers.